Ba-ba-ba-da-ba, Chicken Tales!
Hi everyone, and welcome to Chicken Tales. I'm so happy you've joined us today. My name is Sarah, and this is episode 4. We have 2 stories for you today. One is a story written by a whole bunch of people together, and one is by Eleanor. Then we have a funny joke and a silly activity of the day. So grab a blanket, make a pillow fort, get cozy, and listen to some Chicken Tales. Our first story is called The Adventure on the Icy Sea, and it's written by Eppie, Bea, Alora, Elliot, Pippa, Will, Millie, and Henry. Once upon a time, Jake and Pammy were on a pirate ship fighting sharks. They fought pirates off their pirate ship and into the water and took the swords from the pirates and then took their boat. After they got on the boat, they spotted a whale in the sand. It really needed help because whales need to be in the water to live. It was trying to get back into the ocean, but there was a magic house on top of the whale. Jake and Pammy found some magical gems and decided to eat them. The gems gave them super strength so they could lift up the whale and put him back in the water. When the whale went back into the water, the magic house stayed on the sand. Suddenly, the weather turned wintry, and a narwhal's horn got stuck on the ice, and it was snowing. But a sea unicorn came by to help it. It used its horn to get the narwhal out. Then the narwhal hugged the sea unicorn and swam away. Jake and Pammy's pirate ship started to sink in the icy water. They swam out of the boat and found the magic house on the sand, and then they went home in the magic house. When they got home, they went and helped their parents cook dinner. They still had their super muscles. The next day, they helped at a construction site with their super muscles. The end. Oh my goodness, that story has everything. A pirate ship, sharks, whales, narwhals, unicorns, construction sites. I love that a magic house just appeared out of nowhere. Has that ever happened to any of you? Not a house appearing out of nowhere, probably, but when you have a problem and the solution just jumped out? So helpful. I also like that the narwhal and the sea unicorn hugged. Narwhals are some of my favorite animals. Did you guys know that their horn is actually a tooth? And it's called a tusk, just like elephants' tusks. I also learned that baby narwhals are bluish-gray when they're little, and as they age, their colors change. Old narwhals are almost all white. And now it's time for Joke of the Day.
What's the tallest building in the world? A library. It has the most stories.
Our next story is by Eleanor, and it's called The Sleepover. Once there were 2 friends, a spider and an octopus. They lived in a magical forest where an octopus could live in a freshwater pond. One day, the octopus asked the spider, "Would you like to have a sleepover in my pond?" "But I can't swim," said the spider, "nor breathe underwater." "Let's solve that problem," said the octopus. "There are a bunch of plastic bottles in the bottom of my pond. Maybe we can make an air tank, and there are some straws too." So they got to work. Finally, they finished it and decided to test it out. So the spider dove into the pond. Then he came back up. "There's a hole in the bottle. Water leaks in," said the spider. Said the octopus. "Maybe we can find something to patch that hole." So he dove into the water and came back with some fabric. "Can you get me some grass, please?" "Sure," said the spider. And the spider came back with some grass. "Can you use the grass around the fabric that's patching the hole?" "Let's try again," said the spider. And he dove in. He came up after a minute. "Is everything okay?" asked the octopus. "It works, it works, it works," said the spider. "Woohoo!" said the octopus. "Now we can have a sleepover." The end. Thank you, Eleanor. I love that story. I never thought of a spider and octopus being friends before, but I bet they'd have lots to talk about. Especially how hard it would be to find clothes to fit all their legs. I also liked how they worked together to find a solution to a problem, just like the narwhal and the sea unicorn from the first story. Lots of marine animals today. What a great story about friendship. Thank you. Next up, the silly activity of the day. Today, for a silly activity, you should put on your fanciest clothes. If you have a crown or a fancy hat, put those on too, maybe all together at once. And make sure you use your best manners all day long, and that you use a fancy voice when you're talking to people. For example, you could say, "My dear mother, may I please have a snack?" Or when somebody hands you something, you could say, "Oh, thank you ever so, my dear fellow." And when you're drinking, drink with your pinkies up in the air. See if you can get everyone to do it, and you guys could have a fancy party at your house. Or you could send us some fancy ideas for us to try, and we'll talk about them on a later podcast. Well, that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for listening to Chicken Tales. Remember, this week, if you take a walk with a friendly chicken, ask it if it has any stories for you. But if it doesn't, you can write your own and send them to us at chickentailspod@gmail.com. Bye-bye, friends.
Ba-ba-ba-da-ba, Chicken Tales!